Incredibles 2, written and directed by Brad Bird, once again follows the incredible superhero family that's having a difficult time being accepted in the real world. People are a little bit skeptical of supers because more often than not, they leave a lot of damage in their wake after their attempts to fight crime and save the world. Eventually, they join an effort to bring supers back into a positive light into the public eye, and this puts Elastigirl in the spotlight herself and Mr. Incredible at home with the kids. As supers attempt to bring themselves back into good standing with the public, things are also getting pretty crazy at the Incredible household as well. Alright, so Incredibles 2 was definitely one of my most anticipated films of the year. I really loved the first one that I actually reviewed via request a while back now, and considering it's been like 14 years since the first one came out, this second one was well overdue. I mean, we got 3 Cars films before we got a second Incredibles film. That doesn't really add up, but nonetheless, I'm kind of digressing from my point here. I walked out of the theater feeling very satisfied with Incredibles 2, but not necessarily blown away. I think it is a great addition to the franchise, but is it better than the first, which is probably the biggest question most people are asking themselves? Probably not. Incredibles 2 hits a lot of the same beats as the first one, and it does so with that patent Incredibles style. However, almost everything about Incredibles 2 is a little bit lesser than the first. A little bit less fun, a little bit less creative, a little bit less action-packed, but probably a little bit funnier overall. We'll touch on each of those things individually, but I do think it's important to not expect too much going into the theater. Don't expect a film that's bigger and better than the first, because that's not really what you get here, honestly. Incredibles 2 expands on the universe, but it's much more focused this time around on really diving into the nitty-gritty of the characters, the Incredible family specifically. There's a lot of time in Incredibles 2 simply spent developing the characters. Sure, there's a cool action scene thrown in there every so often to kind of boost the entertainment levels, but ultimately this is a film that's much more focused on figuring out who the characters are than it is their superhero personas. And you could probably say that to an extent about the first one as well, but this one is much less of a journey. An accurate comparison would be Guardians of the Galaxy to me. Guardians 1 was a grander journey that felt more all-encompassing. Guardians 2 focused on their characters more and delved deeper into who and what made those characters who they are. Incredibles 2 operates in a similar way and really does focus less on the action and more on the key characters within the story. So with that said, I found this to be a very good film and a very nice addition both to the Pixar body of work and the Incredibles franchise. But considering the focus here is more on the nitty-gritty of the characters, it's not surprisingly a little less fun. I still had a blast with this movie overall, but when you sideline most of your superhero characters, or those characters' superhero personas rather, for most of the film, it's inevitably going to be less fun, a less fun experience overall. A lot of the superhero stuff is done by Holly Hunter's character Elastigirl, and the rest of the Incredible family just sort of lives their lives and acts normally. This only works because the characters are strong enough to sort of stand on their own. But it also isn't quite as exciting as the first one because we see less super stuff. Still, Incredibles 2 has plenty of quality material to offer to justify the price of admission, and also just generally to justify it existing as a sequel in the first place. But there's just not as much creativity this time around. I think if you watch, like, say, the first 15 minutes or so, you could pretty much figure out beat for beat which direction the story is headed. And this didn't significantly cap my enjoyment of this film, that I still feel like most Pixar movies, there's some sort of big unexpected moment in a lot of them, and Incredibles 2 doesn't really offer that. It's enjoyable as is, it's still very fun and exciting, but it's not quite as creative and surprising as the original was. Again, still really good, but a little bit lesser than the first. It may sound like I'm ragging on the movie a little bit, but I really did enjoy it a lot. It's just that Incredibles has set the bar so high for itself as a franchise that anything short of amazing could prove to be a disappointment for many. I still found Incredibles 2 to be fun, well-written, great visually, and excellently voice-acted, so I wouldn't say that this movie is a disappointment in any way, and it actually does improve on the first in one way, and that's in the comedy department. This is a consistently funny film that keeps the engagement levels high by delivering quality joke after quality joke. My theater was in a constant state of laughter because this movie has a lot of great material that just puts the characters in some truly funny situations. There's some adult humor references as well, so that's always cool in a kids movie like this. So don't think that it's just a kids movie. There's something for everyone here. And I've always liked the chemistry between the Incredible family. There's a lot of great voice acting here, like I mentioned, and I feel like each of them do bring something special to the overall family dynamic. The only reason this movie works as well as it does, considering the focus is on the characters, is because those characters are so awesome. They're so likable and they're so inherently good, despite the fact that they have these insecurities and flaws. It works because they're humanized emotionally, but super physically, which is a great combination, but it is a tricky line to walk. Incredibles has always walked it pretty well though. So yeah, there were times when I felt like things were kind of slow and that did bother me, but there were other times where it didn't so much because there were moments that helped me better understand the characters that most of us are really connected to. There's some truly heartfelt moments that take place in this film. Nothing overly sad that'll get you crying or anything like that, but definitely some moments that'll enhance your investment in these characters even further. That can't be overlooked because quality character development and payoff are always good things. That said though, I thought the final act was exceptional. When the pace picks up and the action is demanded from the script, it works at a very high level. It's very gripping as a film despite the fact that it's fairly conventional and moderately predictable. Pixar has a formula, of course, that a lot of people know about by now, but it almost always works. And here it does too because the surrounding parts just feel fun and exciting, which is clearly the bigger picture and overall intention. The third act is very satisfying and ends up delivering the thrills that many are in the theater for in the first place. Ultimately, is Incredibles 2 a home run? No, it's more like a triple. It's a really good movie, but it doesn't quite exceed its predecessor in a way most probably would have hoped or liked. It's still very, very good though. As for the pros cons, I thought Incredibles 2 delivered a fun and thoughtful continuation of the Incredible family story, lots of great comedy with continuously quality laughs, very good voice acting and characters, and an excellent third act and ending. As for the cons, I'd say the movie is a little bit too predictable and safe. But that's it, honestly. Overall, I'm going to give Incredibles 2 a 9 out of 10, and definitely recommend you check it out in theaters if you enjoyed the first one or you just want to have a good time. I don't think you necessarily have to have seen the first to enjoy it. You'll probably be fine. It's a good movie either way. So have you guys seen Incredibles 2 yet? What did you think of it? And if not, let me know why not. And also let me know what you thought of Incredibles 1. I really loved it, like I mentioned. I think I gave it a 10 out of 10. I have to look back at that. Either way, this is WillFoxification signing off. See you in the next review.